Hey y'all, thanks for joining us. This is the House of Timberman podcast. I'm Cait, this is Dennis, and we're joining you from our studio. Last week we talked about the power of setting goals, and in that conversation we touched on a piece that I'd like to bring back this week, which is weeding your garden. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, after you watch this video, definitely go back and check the other one out. But we're going to touch a little bit about this today.
Yep.
So, weeding your garden, and this is something that we use with our kids. It's, when they're having a poor thought or a negative thought, we say that those are weeds. So we say, go weed your garden. Go plant some positive thoughts or flowers or beautiful something, and make that garden peaceful again. And what that's touching on is the impact powerful thoughts or positivity can have in your life in general, not just only in the gym, but just in general. And bringing that back this week.
Totally. All right. So basically what that means is so you could either create like a positive mindset or a negative mindset, but either way, that's going to create your reality. So if you're always thinking negative thoughts all the time, then there's a good chance that your reality is going to be pretty negative. It's going to kind of suck a little bit. And if you're always thinking positive thoughts, even though that doesn't automatically give you like a happy, amazing life and all that stuff, it does increase your odds quite a bit. I mean, the language that you use with yourself is what dictates your reality. So if you're always using negative language and creating those negative thoughts, you're going to live kind of a negative reality. It is what it is. So, you live in your own head. So if you're always in a negative mindset there, then your reality is negative.
And here's the thing, your brain's going to believe whatever you tell it. It doesn't know necessarily that this isn't a scary situation. We've watched many podcasts or many conversations where your brain is there to protect you. And so if it's doing something or you're about to do something that you've never done before, or that there's some kind of fear around, your brain is going to purposely try to convince you not to do that in order to protect you, because you are its vessel.
It wants to protect its meat wagon, pretty much. Yeah. To keep the brain safe.
That's an elegant way to put that, meat wagon.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So your brain's gonna believe what you're telling it. So if you're maybe sensing a little bit of fear, if you're going to feed that fear, you're not gonna end up doing that thing, because you're going to feed into that vibration. Like vibration attracts like vibration. So if you're in that fear-based mindset, you're only going to attract more fear or more negativity or more weeds in your garden. Whereas if you are, kind of overcoming that fear, maybe it's just a small step over. You're just kind of doing one step at a time, which is perfectly fine. You're going to start realizing that you have a little bit more ability to do things that you may not ever do.
Yeah, totally.
Just kind of speaking from experience, it's such an easy thing to, kind of say, just think happy thoughts. Well, isn't that so cliche? And it really is that easy. You just start to a point. It can be. I think the important thing is to question the negativity. If you can just get curious, and that's a motto that I really try to strive to stand by, is just get curious. Why am I feeling this anger? Why am I feeling this fear? Why am I feeling this particular way about this situation? If I can just get curious and ask questions, I can question myself and step over that.
Instead of running away from that fear or anger or whatever and suppressing it.
Because that doesn't work.
It comes back up in another way, or manifests itself in a sickness or illness or
That's totally possible.
Something completely unrelated to that thing might happen, and you never make that connection. So
that totally can happen, kind of like where the brain is protecting its meat wagon, as you so nicely put it. If you are, continuously to feed into a situation or feed into a negative, whatever it might be, and it's an ongoing thing, your body is going to kind of shut down in a way. Like you might get really sick. You might get to the point where your body's going to make something happen to keep you from doing something.
Send you a signal, basically, and it might be a really shitty signal that,
it can be
a big
huge.
deal.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, it could be something completely unrelated,
And it can be a bunch of little things that just start to add up, and you're like sitting back a month later, like, whoa, those were all signs. Like, if I would have listened the first time, been there, done that.
How's your wrist feeling?
It's better, thanks.
Little inside joke there.
Yeah, that's was affecting my entire left side of my body. My left wrist, my left leg. I don't actually know what's been causing it or what caused it or anything, but just the left side of my body was kind of having injury after injury, and so
got some weeds in them gardens.
Must have some. Gotta dig through. And that brings up a valid point. It's not something that you overcome once and it goes away. It's something that you continuously have to work on. I will say, the more you practice positive thoughts, or the more that you are participating in those positive thoughts and turning problems into positivity or obstacles into opportunities, it gets easier, absolutely. It's just, the easier it gets, the more likely you are to step back and kind of coast. And I'm learning from that myself right now. You coast for so long, and then all of a sudden you're seeing, wow, there's a lot of weeds. There's a lot of negative here. So it's kind of starting back from not square one, but not much past that, and having to kind of dig through that, let's say, darkness, or dig through that negativity again. And it's, you've got the tools in your tool belt to do that. It's just, maybe it's a little bit harder the second time around, because you kind of know what's on the other side, or your brain actually knows, what tools you have, because now it's been there and it's done that, so it knows what it now needs to do to maybe keep you in that negative or that fear-based mindset longer. The ego is a tricky thing.
True.
Because now it's familiar with what you're capable of. So it's just a reminder to don't get lax. Keep practicing gratitude. That's a big thing. Challenge the negative, question it, and practice gratitude. What are you grateful for?
It sounds crazy, but totally works.
It does.
Like, if I start slipping on that, then I notice, stuff, business things don't happen as well, or my own personal, like my training myself might not go as well, or if I get kind of too wrapped up into one thing, then, everything else starts slipping away, is, kind of what happens.
It's like a pendulum, like you're going to always have that back and forth, and it's not trying to find, maybe I'm stealing it from the podcast last night, but it's not trying to find that middle ground. It's knowing when to switch. It's
right.
You have to have the bad to know the good. You have to have the good to know the bad.
You have to learn extremes one way and the other, because if you're always just right in that balance, and things are sitting still pretty much, there's no progress.
There's no growth.
So yeah, totally, yeah.
And each time through the darkness, you're going to learn a lesson, or each time you overcome that negative, or you overcome that fear, or, you know, it's called many things, the negative thoughts, fear, ego, just it depends on what you end up researching or what kind of trips your trigger. But anytime you go through that and you come out on the other side and you're in that higher being or divinity or positivity, you have a new story. You have a new lesson that you've learned. You have a new
perspective.
Yeah.
And I think that's something I've said in one of the other episodes here, was sometimes that's all it takes is a new perspective. That can be huge. Huge.
Yep.
Yeah.
So just get curious.
I like that.
That's where you start, you know. That's where I started. I was a super negative person. You know, I was over 300 pounds. I was hard on myself, and then I lost it, but I still wasn't satisfied. And I still, like, you can change the outside appearance all you want, but you're not gonna change who you are unless you work on the inside. You know, I spent the first year working on the outside appearance, but it wasn't until I lost that first 100 pounds that I realized that I'm still the same person I was when I started, and I have to work on myself internally. And I spent the next year working on my internal being, and it was amazing. It was enlightening. It's just don't forget that you have to continue to practice, because it does get easy, and you don't want to slip out of that practice. And so it's just finding not the balance, but finding the rhythm.
It doesn't get easier. You just get stronger.
There you go. You don't have a weak self. You just have a stronger and a stronger.
A strong and a stronger.
Strong. Yeah, he's strong. Cool.
Cool. All right. I think that's a pretty good spot to leave off, to be honest with you. Stay curious.
Stay curious.
All it takes is one little shift in perspective, and that might be all the change that you need. Be grateful. Gratitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you have questions, if you find yourself, like, this is the stuff I love. Like, if you find yourself in that place where you're having a hard time starting, feel free to reach out. I mean, I'm always on Instagram, House of Timmerman, or you can do the House of Timmerman podcast. You can comment on YouTube.
That was her Instagram before we started this podcast, too.
It was.
So she started it.
I am the House of Timmerman. I'm the better Timmerman. But anyways, if you do need advice or help, or you want someone to talk to, reach out. I would love to help. That lights my soul on fire, and this topic and this work right here is what drives me. And so I would love to help. If there's anyone who ever needs me, let me know.
And if you want to come work out with her in person, come into Primal, Sioux Falls.
I mean, you can. I'm not that good of a. You're the trainer.
Well, yeah.
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 But yeah,
But they can come train right next to you.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
hell yeah. Yeah.
In the group class.
Fucking right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So come do that.
Yeah. Sweet.
All right. Is that it? Everything?
I'm good. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I feel like we did good.
Solid.
Sweet.
That's all you, lady. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. See you
Bye.
next week.